Hi. So I wanted to film a recap video of all the core skills that we worked with Clark, but also some things that we worked on in regards to the resource garden. You have the history of videos of him and the things that we've worked on as a resource for his new home. But I wanted to make sure that you had also a visual too of everything that we've done. I know you guys got your booklet, which essentially is this, just this is a video format, but let's go ahead and get started on our core skills. So when we teach core skills, first and foremost, loading their name in of itself as a command. So basically making his name a focus command, but also a start of leave it and recall. So for example, he's sniffing over there. I'm gonna say, Clark. I'm gonna make some kissing noises. I can lure him to me if I want. I'm gonna lure him into a sit. Yes, good boy. And then I ignore him. I can walk away, he can walk away, it doesn't matter. The idea is that he's supposed to pay attention. Clark! So right now he's not choosing to listen, so I'm gonna tell him, Clark! Yes, good boy. Now, this is where you can shape the behavior, so whether it's the side or if you're like, no, come here. Okay, come here. Sit. Or if it's more, it has to be in front of you. Generally, within like a 45 angle, I'm okay with. It just depends on the owner's preferences and expectations. This is great for, especially with hounds, with their sniffer. They're sniffing something, they're in the grass, they're looking at something, and you can start making it a recall game. So what I would recommend is, again, he's checking something out, you grab a seat, you sit, you have some treats, have some of his breakfast or lunch or dinner, and be, Clark! Every time he comes in and checks in, yes. And then he can go check it out. Good boy. Okay. And see, you can't see his face, but he's like, what next? What now? Yes, good boy. Okay. But this, sitting and looking at the human is the default command or default way that I ask for attention. So if he wants your attention, yes, good boy. He has to sit and look. He wants to go through a door, he has to sit and look. Okay. Name game is all about getting him to pay attention and focus. Default. Yes, good boy. Now, we've also worked on our place command. Place is our duration command. So instead of using wait, stay, and place is a targeted object that he knows that he has to go on, and he can't come off it until he hears a specific release word. Now, how we teach place is that we teach it kind of the hardest difficulty first. Where leave it, good boy, yes. Where dogs learn three-dimensionally. So when they're on an object that's off the ground, they're realizing, hey, I'm on like a floating dog island. So by having him work on this first, then you can transition it to an ottoman, a couch, a dog bed. It doesn't matter what the object is, which then can turn into wherever you put his butt, he's in a place. But you're gonna have a higher rate of success. So how you get him onto it, first get his attention. Clark, he did. Clark, come here. Yes, come here. So I'm gonna lure him over, I'm gonna point and ask him, place. And if he is being distracted or not wanting to listen, having a simple slip lead and luring him up with the slip lead just to help his focus. Now, I didn't ask him to sit. We've trained the behavior of when I go on this, I sit. Now, if you do place, you can ask for a sit place or you can ask for a down place. General rule of thumb is that if you ask for a down place, the dog cannot come up into a sit. If you ask for a sit place, yes, sit, place. If you ask for a sit place and the dog decides to lay down, that is okay. It's called a pleasing behavior. So he is chilling right here. He's not coming off. I'm going to release him with Clark and the word okay. So, Clark, okay. I'm going to toss the treat on the ground. He gets to have it. We get to reset and do it again. If he comes off of it, we just mark it with a negative marker of, nope, we're not doing that, and redirect it. I like to have kind of the rule of three. If we hit 3 corrections, let's do something really easy and then go do something else instead. Now, when we work on place, I like building our thresholds. So distance, distraction, duration, and environment. So how far away can I get from him? Yes, no, Clark. Good. Place. How far away can I get from him? Hey, bouncy puppy. Come on. Good. sit, place. How bouncy or how far away can I get from him? How excited can I get? Okay, good boy. Can I bounce a ball in front of him? Can I have another dog walk past? Yes, good boy. Can you go on place? Can we do this in the lobby? Can we do this in the kitchen? Can we do this outside at a dog park? All the focuses of slowly building up our duration. The closer you are to your dog, the more success he's going to have. The further away, the more independent responsibility he is going to have to own. Good boy, Clark. Yes. Now, he can't come off of that where they say, good boy, and yes, and oh my goodness, and let's go. It's all place until he hears his release command of, Clark, okay. So, with this, we can also work on impulse control. I think there's a couple videos of us doing place and having toys and treats and balls. So, for example, here's a treat. I'm going to tell him, leave it, and toss it on the ground. Come on. Nope. Place. Clark. Hey. Place. Yes. Good. Now, you'll notice that I use the slip lead more as an anchor than as a correction tool. I want him, good boy, I want him to figure out how to go on there. So whether we have a treat as a lure, you can lure him with that slip lead, especially when we're working on high impulse controls, just so that he can't wiggle off and we have a faster timing. But when you focus on this, Clark, sit, leave it, yes, that right there, where he kind of thought about it but stayed on. I didn't have to correct him or give him any pressure on that leash. Yes. Leave it. Good. Leave it. Clark, sit. Yes. So I'm going to reward that behavior. No, Clark. Clark, sit. Yes. I'm going to reward, place, and then reinforce that place command. Because a lot of times what happened is what's happening here, where he's like, I got my treat, I can ignore it. So, sit, place. I'm going to wait a few moments and then, okay, now you can have those treats. When you work on this place command, the biggest thing is to not get frustrated, which is easier said than done. Especially when a dog is feeling fresh, they're really excited, or they're in a high arousal state. They're like, whoa, let's go. And what we're teaching them, think of like if you've ever driven a manual car, or if you understand transmissions, you're in fifth gear, you're going 128 miles on the freeway. How do you go down to slow down? Generally, slowly hit that brake or slowly transition from a fourth, third, second to a first gear. You can't just go from a fifth gear to a first gear. It's bad news bears. So essentially with what he is working on is that, how do I transition from a high drive into a calm drive? Some of this information is also what we've talked about in his resource guarding. When we work on dogs that have some traits of resource guarding, teaching them how to have pack drive versus prey drive and how to switch duality from the two builds up when they get into that heightened state that pushes them into survival drive. So working on place and working on impulse control, working on place and doing fun things. So whether it's in play, whether it's in daily routines, this really comes into play of him regulating himself, where I'm not doing it, but he's doing it. Another command is leave it. So leave it I teach in play drive, but I also teach it as a general disengagement command. Don't look at it, don't touch it, don't even think about it. Because the point of leave it is that, especially with dogs that are a little bit letter of the law, for example, if you say drop it, they'll drop it. But when you go to pick it up, they're like, sweet, I'm going to pick it back up again. So what we're teaching with leave it is, if I tell you leave it, is a hard disengagement, a hard off button. And play drive is a good way to help them learn how to pause when their body mechanics are so high. So, good boy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them interested in it. Come on, yeah, get it, get it, get it. I'm going to actively play tug. Now you get to choose what level of play is appropriate for your household, and that can change depending on the environment or people within it. So I'm going to grab both sides. He's growling and pulling. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. Yeah. Oh, so big, so big, so big, so big. Good boy. Clark, leave it. Sit. Yes, good boy. He immediately got it right after. The moment he sit and looked at me is when, oh, I got the reward. Yes, good boy. Okay, ready? Oh, and we go back and go back into that play drive where he gets to be big and scary and we get to tug and it's the best thing ever. And then Clark, leave it. Leave it. Yes, sit. Sit. Clark, something's distracting you. Sit. Yes, good boy, go get it. What do you smell? What are you distracted by? Good. Come here. Sit. Good check-in. Yes. So when he was deciding, no, I'm going to still play this, I'm going to still hold on to it, what you have to do is make it completely still. You have to think of it like if it's an animal and those prey instincts, did I kill it, essentially? So hold it really still and just And you have to take breaths and just, nope, we're going to wait. Because what will happen is when a dog has an item, especially in play, so if they have it and their mouth is on here, they'll go, when I hear that, leave it, chomp, chomp, chomp. What if I go here? So it's not my whole mouth, it's just the front of my teeth. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Again, leave it. Usually like a nibble sometimes, or they'll completely let go, and then you can get that sit. It's them processing through it. When we teach it in play, not only is there a positive response to it, but also we're teaching them how to disengage when it's not a play moment. Yes, okay. Get it, buddy. Get it, buddy. I like how you're using your paws. Get it. That's good boy. That's good boy. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Clark, leave it. Yes. Yes, good boy. That's exactly what we want. Doing it a few times and then you just go back to play as crazy or as silly as you want. But the idea is that if we integrate, we sprinkle a little bit of obedience while we're doing our natural life, his expectations, his manners, and training is going to come through a lot more. This is a hard one to really focus on with resource guarding. So if we can teach him with different items and objects, can you do it with a tug toy? Can you do it with a stuffy toy? Can you do it with towels? Can you do it with socks? Where then it becomes, now we have a leave it command, and he knows it's not a punishment of leave it. There you go. It is a pause and check in with leave it. Because instinctually, when we have resource guarding, there's a fear of lack. There's a fear of losing out or missing the object that they're guarding. And so what we want is teaching them, if I let it go to the human, something positive is still going to happen. Now, a lot of times what you'll hear is like, grab a treat and do an exchange, Clark. But all we're teaching them, it is a good method, it is a good tool, but it's not the only tool that we need to use. Some dogs are particular where they'll steal something because they know, if I steal this, I will eventually get a toy or a treat. So what we want is that disengagement is with play. Hey, when I have play, I get to go back to play, or we can be done and shift to something else. Can you sit? Good boy. Because sitting and looking is our natural default for what we're teaching the dog to pay attention to. Lastly, second to last is our recall command. So recall, we use that name game as a focuser, and then come is just a party. Yeah, come, woohoo! So it's a little difficult to film on camera sometimes. Clark, so I'm gonna toss a treat, so he's completely distracted over there. I'm gonna step all the way over here, and I'll be, Clark, come, yeah! And what I want is his excitement and energy to increase as he gets closer to me, because it's a big, big party. Now, if you have things around you, they're going to be distractions. Are you worth that level of distraction? And as you practice this, whether it's at home, whether it's at the park, at anywhere, honestly, what is the balance for him? Is it worth it for him to beeline it to you? Now, be mindful. If you're doing this at home and you're like, Clark, come, and you don't reinforce him coming to you, yes, good boy, it loses its value. The more that you are consistent in reinforcing the expectations of the commands, the better he will do and the more consistent he will be. Yes. Now, I do have a command that's kind of a fun command. It's called touch. So it's a flat hand, he nose bumps it. So if I hold out my hand and say, Clark, touch, he's gonna come over, nose bump, yes, good boy. It's the start of a trick command. It's also good refocus our command. So if he's throwing attitude at you, like he doesn't want to listen, he's like, I don't want to sit, I want to do a place. Sometimes if you're walking, you're like, hey, Clark, touch. Yes, good boy. And then it's a quick positive for him. Yes. Now, with leash work, how we see, generally we taught him on a slip lead. Slip leads are about tension and release. So dogs learn by the release of tension than tension in and of itself. Like a boy. So how I like to describe this is that one hand is your anchor hand. The other hand is going to be your talking hand. So this is the hand that's going to tell him how much leash he gets. It's also going to be your prompt hand. And it's also the leash that just, hey, I want you right here. Now you're in the privilege of having the whole leash. A caveat to slip leads and caveat to leashes. Essentially what I am teaching you is a modified heel command. It's not a straight loose leash walking command, and it's not a straight heel command. It's a little bit somewhere in between. So when he's walking with you, his right as a dog on walks is right next to you. This is his right. This is where he should be at all times, and that's what he's allowed to be at all times. It's a privilege to be ahead of you. It's a privilege to be far away from you, because it's how much are you going to listen and focus. It's kind of like a little toddler. When they're misbehaving, it's all right, cool, I'm gonna hold your hand, let's go through the store together, versus an older kid who can wander and come back and forth. He's earning his privilege to have that leash. Now, you can switch left and right. It doesn't matter. We trained both sides for him, so you have flexibility. So if we have him on a leash and hold him in here, my hand and my arm is going to be relaxed by my side. When we hold up like T-Rexes, we put a lot of tension on that leash, we are telegraphing to that dog tension, intensity, pay attention, there's something going on, whether it's good or bad. That's where we get a lot of reactivity. That's where we get the dogs that are like, ooh, well, I have to take care of the situation myself. So when we do this, it is all about how can you present with your body a nice relax through that leash. So as we walk, come on, I like to say, let's go or with me. They're not set commands. They're just good notifications for them to pay attention to. Now, he's pulling a little bit. So pulling from the front or the side, I'm just going to give him a little tug and release. Or if he tries to go for the treat bag, it's going to be a tug and release. Good boy, Clark. Yes. So as we're walking, if he pulls in front, there are three different types of redirections I want you to be able to do. First one is the tug and release with your hand. He is a little enough that you can just do a little pull and then give it right back to him. Tension is a prompt. It is not a correction. So as soon as it's tight on his neck, he needs to be like, oh, what's happening? A lot of times dogs learn that tension means I get to go where I want to. So the harder they pull, the faster they think they get to be there. What we're teaching him is that when there's no tension on that leash or on his neck, he's good. It's great. Everything's awesome. Let's keep going. As soon as there's tension, it's a prompt of, hey, I need you to pay attention. Now, the other thing to be noticing is that when we do slip leads, we want it to be right underneath their neck, leave it, and right behind their ears. Now, he's kind of got a little neck, and that's okay. And a little slippage with your slip lead is normal. There is usually a notch that you can put down where you should still fit 2 fingers underneath his like mini collar, but it should have some wiggle room. So when you're walking and you've done 2 or 3 tension and releases, this is what I want you to do. You're going to drop your talking hand, walk back a couple of steps till he's walking with you. You're going to give him, yes, good boy, and then you can go the way that you were going. The idea is that he has to focus to you. Yes, good boy. And when you're ready to walk forward, then you can grab that leash. Okay, let's go. Hey, good boy. So I got the leash. Okay, let's go. Helps if you don't tingle yourself. Hi, come on. Now, if he wants to really walk on the left and you're okay with it, cool, let's do that. So my right hand is my anchor hand. Yes. Leave it, dude. Good. The other thing that you can do, so tension release, dropping this, walk back a couple steps and move forward, grab it again. The other component that you can do is turns. So this is where you're going to turn into him, where you're like leave it, hey, this is mine. Nope, this is my space. Turns are more for bigger reactions. When you're walking, your feet should never stop. It's your walk, not his walk. So when there's a distraction over there, it's whether it's a dog, it's a person, it's a bird, leave it, let's keep going. Like you just, nope, we're doing this instead. So it's teaching him, hey, he needs to focus. One of the things that helps teach this is also belt leash. So attaching him to you, so whether it's a carabiner, whether it's like a little fanny pack, he's attached to you, your hands are free, clean the house, do yard work. Just have him be stuck with you, because then it becomes a game of him paying attention to you versus you paying attention to where he is. And you can kind of see where he's like dragging behind a little bit, and then he's like, oh, wait, I gotta catch up. Oh, wait, I gotta catch up. And there's a natural consequence of him not focusing on where he's going with you. Yes! Whoop. Good boy. One caveat is please don't trip or hurt yourself. It's super common, especially with little dogs, and if you have a longer leash, like I almost did a little trip right there, just be careful between you and him. But those are his core skills. He's peeing right now. But those are his core skills, what we have learned and reinforced. All of these skills help him work through any of his resource guarding and really help him focus and be that well-mannered dog. It's important to note, yeah, that's you. It's important to note that he is in the peak of teenagerness. A year is the worst time frame of a dog's life because that's where they're at the absolute pinnacle of hormones, behaviors, developmental stages. As he gets older, you're going to see a shift in settling in his body, and then it gets better. So any problem behaviors that we're having now, as long as you're addressing them and working through them, everything will settle and get calmer within his body and his nervous system. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm here as a resource for you and for him, so I'm here as needed. But it's been an absolute pleasure working with him. And again, let me know if you have any questions.